All right, everyone. Get ready to meet an awesome new character. This is the story of Enomoto Dai. He was just your average college student. He had good friends, a beautiful girlfriend, and loving parents. Until one day, he was suddenly framed for murder. All the evidence pointed to him as the culprit. Knowing he was innocent, Daichi clung to hope. He believed his loved ones would save him. But he was wrong. It was all a delusion. His girlfriend, his future in-laws. Everyone he held dear was taken from him in a single night. And so the legendary tale of bloody revenge began. But there's one truth Daichi would never know, not even in a lifetime. He's not the main character of this story. He was nothing but a pawn in someone else's game. And the mastermind behind it all was Kurisu Fuyoto. All right, let's dive into the main story. A deserted city street at night. A car speeds through the darkness, heading towards the bright lights of the city skyline. "I'm Mr. Kurisu," a voice announces. "We're almost there." Kurisu gazes out the window of a skyscraper. He lets out a sigh. A red car pulls up to its destination. Staff members line up at the entrance to greet Kurisu. Two men rush to his car and open the door. Kurisu steps out. The staff bow respectfully and say, "We've been expecting you." Kurisu Fuyoto. His life had been full of hardships. "I've lived a life of misery." He walks through the casino, a place where the wealthy test their luck. Kurisu observed them. He'd faced countless dangers, danced with death more times than he could count. Finally, he had amassed a fortune and earned a reputation. Two attendants opened large double doors. As Kurisu entered, saying to them, "You can stop here?" They bowed their heads. "Yes, sir." "We hope you enjoy your time here." The music pulsed through the club. Bodies swayed on the dance floor. Kurisu walked through the crowd. Some called his name. A woman in a red dress smiled. "Director!" Another, with pink hair, called out, "Kurisu!" An energetic woman waved him over. "Come join us, Fuyoto." A stunning woman raised her glass. "Darling?" Kurisu gave them a friendly smile. "People call me by different names. It all depends on how they see me. Sometimes I'm the young heir, inheriting a massive fortune from a powerful conglomerate. Other times, I'm a restaurant tycoon. Or a major investor just back from the States. I'm a charismatic influencer. And there are times when I wear 100 different masks. Who am I, really? Sometimes even I don't know the answer anymore." He excused himself from the women and headed to a secluded corner. Two intimidating men stood guard, blocking the entrance. Their menacing expressions were met with Kurisu's stoic face, but one thing was certain. They bowed their heads and loudly greeted, "Boss." Kurisu didn't react as he walked past them. "I only have one goal." Another equally imposing man, smoking a cigarette, looked up at him. "You're late." His eyes were sharp and piercing. "Right on time," Kurisu retorted, meeting his gaze. They stared at each other, a silent tension filling the air. The others in the room could feel the palpable tension between them. The man smirked, then stood and addressed Kurisu respectfully. "Please have a seat, boss." "Don't call me boss," Kurisu replied, walking forward. He sat down, the tension in the room almost suffocating. "All right," Kurisu said to one of the men, handing him a briefcase. "You've been holding on to this. Open it." The man took it obediently. "Yes, sir." He opened it, his eyes widening in surprise. Money, stacks of it. It was stuffed full of cash. "There's 100 million yen in there for now," Kurisu stated. The others listened in silence. "I'll have the rest delivered later." Kurisu reached out, taking a glass of liquor from the table. His gaze focused on the amber liquid within. "It all started when they set me up," he seethed. As Kurisu tightened his grip, cracks spider-webbed across the glass. "Those bastards! Nuh, they dragged my life through hell." He crushed the glass in his hand. "I will claw my way back from the abyss." The others in the room stared, shocked by his outburst. Blood trickled down his hand. Kurisu's smile was devoid of humanity. To get revenge on the scum that disguise themselves. He is the elite of this country. While flaunting their power, I'll make them wish they were dead. Let's begin. Money on the table became stained with his blood. Our war. Daichi sprinted down the street, carefully carrying a boxed bottle of wine. Sweat dripped down his face, but he muttered to himself, "I have to hurry." Nishizabu, Tokyo, inside a small, dimly lit bar. Patrons enjoyed their drinks and quiet conversation. But from a VIP room, loud, angry shouts erupted. "Hey, fatty, do you know who I am?" Two women, flanking a man, berated the waitress before them. "Do you know how much money I've poured into this dump? You dare serve me cheap booze?" This was Dagura Misuru, CEO of an IT company. He demanded the waitress. "Give me all your tips now." The waitress, bowing deeply, apologized profusely. "Mr. Dagura," she began, "we are currently out of the champagne you requested." His face contorted in rage, veins bulging on his forehead. Dagura pointed a finger at the floor. "Useless? Fine then. Strip naked and kneel!" The two women beside him chimed in. "Take it off, take it off!" The waitress's face paled, horrified by the forced demand. A noise echoed from outside the door. Kiyoshi rushed in, flustered. He threw open the door and announced loudly, "Director Dagura. Sorry to keep you waiting, sir." "The Akamanzi bricknack you requested." A sudden silence fell over the room. All four pairs of eyes were on Kiyoshi. "What's with this guy's problem?" Dagura grumbled. Then, as Daichi approached with the bottle, Dagura spoke. "You didn't shake it on the way here, did you?" Daichi bowed his head slightly, a polite smile on his face. "Of course not, sir. If you have any other requests, please don't hesitate to ask." Dagura and the two women with him were taken aback. They stared at Daichi as he continued. "However," Daichi warned, "I ask that you refrain from harassing the staff any further." Sayaka was stunned to see Daichi standing up for her. A glass went flying. Daichi took the full brunt of the drink, not even flinching. A chilling silence fell over the room after Dagura's outburst. He'd taken his anger out on Daichi. Dagura snapped his fingers, demanding, "The sight of you all disgusts me. Get Gu in here." Gu entered from outside. Daichi and Sayaka emerged from within the room. Daichi bowed respectfully to Dagura. "Excuse me," Gu said, rushing in. He held a white towel in his hands. With a friendly smile and a fawning voice, he spoke. "Director Dagura, I apologize, that boy wasn't very thoughtful." "Are you all right, sir?" As the door closed, Sayaka turned to Daichi with concern. "Daichi, are you okay?" Wiping him down, she added, "Thank you." Daichi chuckled lightly. "I'm fine. You must be exhausted, Seika." Seika blushed, her eyes softening. She smiled back. "I should be thanking you this time, Daichi. The year is 202X Tokyo. A massive casino, funded by foreign investors, has been built on reclaimed land in Tokyo Bay. Areas like Nishiazabu, Roppongi, Shinjuku, Shibuya. Their nightlife thrives, business booming. Money flows day and night. Yakuza, mafia, tycoons, politicians. This is an era overflowing with the wealthy and powerful, running rampant throughout Tokyo. I'm Enomoto Daichi, living the ordinary life of an average college student. The bell rings, signaling the end of class, and students pour out. Some wait for friends. Daichi stretches, letting out a groan. So many reports to write today. Kadota, a blonde-haired young man, a fellow student, grins mischievously and suggests, "Or just get someone else to write it." A voice interrupted him. "Gah! Are you serious?" Both Daichi and Gu looked towards the voice. A girl's figure emerged. It was Sato Meru. The college student was clearly unhappy with the suggestion. "No way! That's way too risky." She scolded them playfully, reminding them to take their studies seriously. Both Daichi and Gu smiled. All right, Gu replied. "I know." They walked together to the school gates. "See you guys at work tonight, Daichi," Gu said, parting ways. He smiled at the girl. "Bye, Meru." He then took off. Daichi scratched his neck and turned to Meru. "Shall we go?" They held hands and walked off, unaware that Gu was watching them from behind. His eyes held a look of resentment. The afternoon sun cast long shadows. Meru and Daichi strolled along hand in hand. He blushed, avoiding her gaze. After a moment, Daichi finally spoke. We're dating, right?" Meru didn't answer. She giggled. "Why do you ask all of a sudden?" Blushing, Daichi explained. "Well, it's just that we've never spent the night together, and your family is pretty strict." Meru's cheeks flushed pink. "Oh my gosh," she said. "Stop scratching the back of your ear like that." Suddenly, she pulled him close, catching Daichi off guard. Meru whispered in his ear, "Daichi, you're so naughty." She quickly pulled away and walked off, leaving Daichi speechless and blushing. He couldn't form a coherent sentence. Meru took a few steps, then turned around and made him a promise. "Let's go on a trip together this summer break." Daichi was confused. "Huh? Is Meru hinting? Daichi's birthday is coming up soon." "I'll wink at you then." Daichi's jaw dropped, his face flushed crimson, speechless. Meru continued on, leaving him there with a parting reminder. "Make sure you write that report." Daichi stood there dumbfounded, the sun beginning to set. "At the hospital." He sat beside his mother, recounting the day's events. So that goofball Gu got a real earful from the professor. Meru and I were laughing about it for ages. The figure in the bed lay with eyes closed. Daichi continued chatting away until lunchtime. Or so he thought. He glanced at his watch. and realized just how much time had passed. Is it that late already? Daichi stood saying goodbye to his mother. I'll come see you tomorrow, Mom. But as he pulled back the curtain from the bed, a faint moan echoed. Daichi froze, rushing back to his mother's side. He spoke softly. Mom? His mother's eyes fluttered open weakly. Daichi, is that you, son? He reached out and took her hand as she offered it. Smiling, he replied, Yes, Mom, I finished classes and then worked my part-time job. They held hands, and she said comfortingly, Oh, is that so? It must be hard on you. Daichi brushed off her concern. Not at all. I even got a scholarship, Mom, don't worry. He smiled brightly, suggesting, Hey, how about we spend a day at the beach together this time? You seem to be getting stronger every summer, right? She repeated, The beach? Then closing her eyes, she whispered longingly, I'd love to go. Daichi softly replied, Mom. That night, as usual, he went to work at the bar. He bowed as some customers left. Thank you. Daichi maintained a respectful and polite demeanor. We hope to see you again. He walked further into the bar. He entered another room to give a report. My boss has already seen the guests off. He approached, noticing his boss on the phone. A worried look etched on his face. Still can't reach the car? His boss hung up, replying with a simple, Yeah, I can't even reach her on Live, Daichi added. He looked puzzled. She's not usually one to skip work. Something might be wrong. He looked around, then asked, Where's Gu gone to? This time his boss answered. Entertaining Director Dagura in the VIP room. He's loaded, but he's a heavy drinker. He continued to mutter to himself. Hope Gu doesn't piss him off. Daichi smiled reassuringly. That kid's pretty good with people. He'll be fine. The room's curtains were drawn open. A guard poked his head in and called out, Daichi! He beckoned him over, signaling he had something to discuss. Both Daichi and his boss were confused, but Daichi followed the guard. They arrived at a room where Dagura was sitting. The two men entered. After a polite bow, Daichi spoke. I'm Enomoto, he said. You asked for me? Dagura smirked. He simply pointed to the man sitting with him. Enomoto, he began. Let me introduce you to someone incredibly formidable. The man stood up. He walked towards Daichi and offered a business card. As he spoke, It's a pleasure to meet you. Daichi politely accepted the card. Thank you, sir, Daichi replied. The card displayed the man's information and his law firm. Henderson and Moriyama, Daichi thought, confused. Dagura explained, Shiro Yugasaki is a brilliant lawyer. Someone like you isn't even worthy of speaking to him. Shiro returned to his seat, humbly responding to the compliment. You're too kind. He smiled at Daichi, his words carrying a hidden meaning. If you encounter any trouble, you can contact me. After that, Dagura dismissed Daichi. We're done here. You can leave. Daichi didn't ask any more questions, accepting the dismissal with a bow. Thank you. Daichi could still hear their conversation, even after he left the room. He seems relatively stable. Daichi glanced back at the room, still full of questions. Moments later, Daichi and Gu left the building. Gu smiled, satisfied. They finished up and walked down the street together. Confused, Daichi asked his friend, Wait, seriously? You're just gonna ditch those Dagura executives? Is that okay? Gu replied, Yeah, man. The boss said he's closing up shop and going drinking with them. Probably off to some bar again. Daichi was about to ask something else when his phone rang, catching his attention. He opened it. It was a message from Seiko. Actually, there were 3 messages from a contact named Kaede. There's something I need to tell you, Daichi. Can you come to Grand West now? Please! Both of them were pretty surprised by the messages. Dude, you're being messed with, Gu said. Is she gonna confess to you or something? Daichi blushed and quickly denied it. What? No way! Gu slung an arm around him, still grinning. Sounds interesting. Take me with you! He dragged Daichi along, despite his protests. Whoa, they stopped in front of a huge hotel. The inside was incredibly luxurious. Daichi's eyes widened. This is amazing! I've never been anywhere this fancy. He texted Seika back. I'm at the hotel. Gu is here too. She replied immediately. Come to room 1815 in 10 minutes. And come alone. Daichi was confused. What does Seika want? Gu chimed in. Beats me. He grinned. But it seems serious. You should go. It would be bad not to. Yeah, okay, Daichi agreed. I'll text you later, he said, turning to leave. Go, what's up? He placed a hand on Daichi's shoulder, startling him. Hold on a sec, Gu said. Gu offered him a pink can. Drink this energy drink. Confused, Daichi asked, Energy drink? You've been lacking sleep lately. You look like you're about to drop dead. Daichi gratefully accepted the can. Thanks, but Gu stopped him from putting it in his bag. Well, I kinda want to drink half too. So drink it here now. Daichi paused, a little puzzled, but he opened it and drank. He didn't notice the smirk spreading across Gu's face, or the dangerous glint in his eyes. Wiping his mouth, Daichi offered the rest to Gu. Here's the rest. Gu smiled brightly and took it. Thanks. Go on, keep teasing him. I'll keep Meru a secret and make Daichi blush and yell. I told you it's not like that. Daichi stepped into the elevator and pressed 18. He sighed and muttered to himself. What is with that Gu always spouting nonsense? He continued to ponder. But why does he seem so strange? What's with Kakeru too? Why are we going to such a fancy hotel? Is she some rich heiress? Could she actually be planning to confess to me? Daichi thought of Meru. I already have someone important in my life. Daichi's expression changed. The elevator quickly reached the 18th floor. He stepped out wearily. His head was spinning. Am I just tired? Daichi wondered. Dizzy and disoriented, he started walking. Where's room 1815? Daichi collapsed in the hallway. A door creaked open. Someone was watching him, a sinister glint in their eyes. When Daichi hazily woke up, he was in an unfamiliar place. Naked, Daichi clutched his head and let out a groan. Ugh. His head throbbed. He looked around, thinking, this is a woman's hotel room? The woman next to him was dead. Her expression was terrifying. Daichi froze. Her eyes were wide open, staring blankly. Sika! Terror gripped him. He screamed and scrambled back. Dead! Is she dead? He fell off the bed in his panic. He looked around the messy room. Seika lay naked and dead on the bed. His clothes were scattered everywhere. What is this? Panic set in. What's going on? Questions flooded his mind. What have I done? Daichi woke up in a cold sweat, looking around wildly. What? What have I done? Panic flooded his face. He stared at the woman beside him. A gruesome sight made him shudder. Seika, is she dead? He looked around frantically, even more confused by his own nakedness. My clothes. Where are they? What happened? A sharp pain shot through him. Daichi winced. Ow! Fresh red scratches covered his hands. What are these? Urgent knocking startled Daichi. A voice boomed from the other side. Police, open up! Daichi scrambled to his feet. Relief washed over him. Help has arrived. Thank goodness. He threw open the door. Officers, you're here! They immediately tackled him, shoving him back inside as if he were the criminal. His face slammed against the floor. An officer pinned him down. We got him! We have the suspect in custody. Daichi groaned in pain. Ugh! What? Daichi exclaimed as he was restrained. The others quickly searched the room. Wait, why are you arresting me? Another officer commented as he approached. Looks like backup's late. You've got the wrong guy, Daichi yelled. I didn't do this. The officer holding him down snapped. You don't get to talk yet. Outside, the sky opened up, pouring rain. It washed over the luxurious hotel. Daichi was escorted out by the officers. And then I was arrested. They headed towards a police car, its red lights flashing, across the street. Gu watched. He smiled, a sinister grin of someone who'd just gotten what they wanted. The rain stopped. The sky cleared as they arrived at Azabu Central Police Station. Morning came and Daichi was brought to meet his lawyer. Mr. Yugasaki, Daichi exclaimed with relief. Shiro. Shiro replied, well. I didn't expect you to need me so soon. Daichi sat down opposite him, continuing. Thank you so much for coming. Shiro gave a small, humble smile at Daichi's gratitude. Don't mention it. You must be terrified. I'll do everything I can to help you. Tears welled up in Daichi's eyes. He bowed his head respectfully. Please, he pleaded. I'm counting on you. Shiro tapped his fingers on the table and began to read through the case file. Enomoto Daichi, 20 years old. You received an invitation on October 6th from Tanaka Sayeko, also 20, a co-worker at your part-time night job. She invited you to the Grand West Hotel. He turned the page. There, he continued, after consuming alcohol and narcotics, the two of you engaged in sexual intercourse. Then an argument ensued. You strangled Miss Tanaka, resulting in her death. Daichi slammed his fist on the table and stood up, desperate to correct him. That's not true! Shiro raised his hand. Calm down, Daichi. This is what the police are currently concluding. But I would never do something like that. Daichi continued. You can ask Gu. He knows about this too. Shiro stared intently at him, his face devoid of any emotion, not even pity. I already asked Gu. Not just cadet, but also your boss at your part-time job. And your girlfriend. Daichi's expression softened at the mention of Meru. He lowered his eyes, thinking of Meru. She must be so worried. Daichi then thought of his mother. If Mom knew I was involved in a murder case, she would be terrified. Shiro continued his questioning. Did you drink any alcohol last night? Confused, Daichi asked, huh? He replied, we detected alcohol on your breath. Daichi was bewildered. I don't remember, Daichi stammered. The lawyer continued, I hear you have quite a low tolerance for alcohol. Not only that, his next statement shocked Daichi even more. But we also found traces of a stimulant in your urine sample. What did you just say? Daichi slammed his hand on the glass, practically yelling. I would never use drugs. Shiro adjusted his glasses, unfazed by Daichi's outburst. Furthermore, we have another piece of evidence. Skin? Cells matching yours were found under the victim's fingernails. Daichi looked at the scratches on his hands in horror. As Shiro continued, you had a conflict with the victim. He reconstructed the situation. Overcome with rage, you strangled her. That's exactly how the police are viewing this case. Daichi slumped back in his chair, defeated. He mumbled, unable to form a complete sentence. That's impossible. Shiro, impassive, steepled his fingers. You have the right to deny it, but let me be frank. Daichi's face paled as the reality set in. If you want to prove your innocence, this trial could drag on for a while. Daichi gritted his teeth. I have a sick mother. Shiro replied, I'm aware of that. I know. Daichi mumbled. I need to pay for her hospital bills. If I wasn't here, he misses his mother. What would my mother do? Tears streamed down Daichi's face as he wondered. What am I supposed to do? Shiro seemed to be waiting for those words. He looked at Daichi like he was an insect. He spoke. There's only one way. This is the only way to get you out of here. A glimmer of hope appeared for Daichi in the darkness. He answered almost desperately. I'll do anything you ask. Please help me. Shiro said bluntly. Confess, admit you did it. Daichi froze. What? The man continued. I'm sorry, but the evidence is stacked against you. Even if you try to prove your innocence now, your chances of winning are slim. His words began to blur together as Daichi felt overwhelmed. Just confess, Shiro urged. Show remorse. It's better than... Yenner looking defiant and making a bad impression on the judge. I'll get you a plea deal. Manslaughter. Instead of facing a murder charge. Possibly even probation. You could get off with probation. Daichi thought to himself, no, I can't. But prolonging the trial? He remembered his mother. He remembered his promise to take her to the beach this summer. The beach. Mom wants to go. In the courtroom, the jury and judge were silent, listening intently as Daichi confessed. It's true that Tanaka-san called me to the hotel. I was drunk and not thinking clearly, so my memory is hazy. Maru and Gu listened from the gallery. Daichi ended his testimony with a confession, but I think I caused Tanaka-san's death. His face was ashen as he continued. I deeply regret my actions. After much agonizing thought, I've decided to confess to receive a sentence. He was tormented by his inner thoughts. I didn't do it. Absolutely not. Daichi struggled internally, but only by confessing could he quickly return to his mother. Some time passed, and the judge finally delivered Daichi's sentence. All rise, the bailiff called. The verdict hit Daichi like a punch to the gut. 15 years in prison. Stunned, he thought, what? 15 years? The sounds around him faded. So while the defendant had a responsibility to aid the victim at the time, Daichi turned to look at Shiro, his lawyer. In disbelief, he whispered, You said I'd get probation. Shiro calmly adjusted his glasses and replied, It seems the judge was stricter than I anticipated. Daichi erupted. You lied. This isn't what you promised. A bailiff intervened. Order! The defendant will remain silent. Daichi's face went white. His eyes widened in disbelief. Prison, not probation. Why am I going to jail? Why can't I accept this? Panic washed over his face. His thoughts raced uncontrollably. No, it's a lie! He screamed in the courtroom as officers restrained him. I didn't kill anyone. I want to appeal. Get me a lawyer? But there would be no appeal. He was sentenced to 15 years. The sky was gray over the prison. A faint mumbling echoed in the silent hallway. In a cell, 2 inmates talked about Daichi. That kid's always mumbling to himself. He's lost it. He's a freaking psycho killer. Daichi stared blankly, lost in thought. He kept asking himself why. Why was this happening to him? I'm not, he muttered to himself. I'm not the killer. He overheard the other 2 inmates talking. Everyone says that, one scoffed. Another day, Daichi was working in the prison workshop. He still wore a look of disbelief, constantly wondering, why am I here? Yugasaki hasn't visited me once, he mumbled. I hope there will be a retrial. Mom, Maru, they must be so worried. A voice broke through his thoughts. It was the man working next to him. Hey, kid, he asked directly. You were set up, weren't you? The man's eyes flicked over to Daichi, studying him intently as he continued. You look like you've got something on your mind. I've done a little digging on you. Daichi was taken aback by the man's words. That night, you suddenly felt sleepy and woke up naked next to a dead girl. Dead. He asked the right question, Daichi thought incredulously. How did you know? The old man continued to probe. Can you tell me the whole story? From beginning to end? He paused, then smiled knowingly. Depending on how things go, perhaps I could help you get out of here. Daichi was stunned. He stared at the man thinking, who is this guy? How does he know about my case? The old man seemed to read his mind. He offered a friendly smile and extended a hand. Let me introduce myself. I'm Kamashiro. I'm in here for a crime I didn't commit either. Pleased to meet you. Daichi didn't react. This is too suspicious, he thought, then quickly went back to his work. He refused to shake Kamashiro's hand. It wouldn't be good if the guards caught us. Talking privately? We have plenty of time in here, Kamashiro continued. If you're interested, come find me for a chat. Kamashiro then brought up the lawyer, Yugasaki. You should be careful around him. Daichi's face showed surprise at his words. He remained silent. Kamashiro continued to watch him as the day turned to evening. Unable to sleep, Daichi recalled Kamashiro's earlier words. That lawyer, Yugasaki, you should be careful around him. He looked thoughtful. What could he have meant? That man, Kamashiro, what did he know? Daichi looked out the window. The moon was unusually bright. Daichi thought about his family, his mother Meru. He wondered how they were doing. They must be so worried about him. Somewhere else? A fight was breaking out. Blood splattered against the wall. Several burly men were beating a prisoner black and blue. One of them lifted the battered man. What's that you're whimpering? Please have mercy, the prisoner begged. The big man scoffed. Where's all that tough talk now? He continued to pummel the prisoner. He'd already beaten plenty of others that day. The other prisoners pretended not to notice. They turned their faces to the wall. The sounds chilled them to the bone, but they didn't dare make a sound. When the prisoner was finally released, his face was horribly disfigured. Gee, the big man muttered. Not nearly satisfying enough. Another inmate approached Ruji with some news. There's info on a new fish, he said. The inmate began to explain. Ruji's veins bulged as he listened intently. A chilling sound escaped his lips. Ruji smashed his fist into a nearby table and coldly ordered, bring him to the yard tomorrow. Rage flickered in his eyes. He declared, I'll greet him personally. Night passed quietly. Soon sunlight filled the prison yard. It was just another day for the inmates. Daichi strained, his body trembling as he did pull-ups. Finally, he let go, unable to hold on any longer. Daichi looked around. That's all I can do, he thought. 3 sets of 10, it's not enough. Another inmate approached him. Daichi's face remained impassive as the inmate spoke. Hey, you. The guy jerked his head, signaling with a finger while demanding, hey, come out here and help me move some stuff. Reluctantly, Daichi followed him. Daichi trailed behind the inmate, keeping a safe distance. Kamashiro watched them. His eyes narrowed in suspicion. Daichi was led to a secluded area, where Yuji and his crew were waiting. Bambaruji smirked as Daichi approached. Daichi's eyes widened in alarm. He instinctively stumbled back a few steps. Yuji's goons blocked Daichi's escape route. Confused, Daichi stammered, what are you doing? Ruiji's imposing figure loomed over Daichi as he stepped closer. Before Daichi could react, Ruiji's hand clamped around his throat. Lifting him off the ground, Ruiji sneered, choking a woman must have been fun, huh? Daichi struggled. Gasping for breath, he tried to defend himself. I didn't do it. I've been wrongly accused. His words only fueled Yuji's rage. A murderous glint flashed in his eyes as he responded. Everyone in here says that. Yuji kneed Daichi in the stomach with brutal force. A pained groan escaped Daichi's lips. Daichi crumpled to the ground. Yuji wound up and kicked Daichi squarely in the face. He continued. Let's be clear. I'm no saint. Daichi let out a cry of pain. Ah! But seeing scum like you, Yuji spat. He raised his fist in fury. Daichi, taking a life for your own selfish reasons makes my blood boil. Terror filled Daichi's eyes as Yuji's fist connected with his face. Daichi's face contorted under the relentless barrage of punches and kicks. The other inmates watched from a safe distance. Silently, they thought to themselves, Ruji's terrifying when he's angry. I don't know if that kid's gonna make it. Moments later, Daichi was beaten and bloodied, left lying on the ground. Ruji looked down at him with disdain. Your parents must be so ashamed to have a son like you. Daichi's vision blurred, his thoughts fading. What are they saying about my parents? Another inmate leaned in close. I heard it on the news. Reporters are saying the murderer's mother found out he killed someone and died from the shock. His words jolted Daichi awake. He thought, Mom, all our memories, childhood memories with his mother, flashed before him. Daichi was horrified. He felt suffocated, the words echoing in his mind. What did I even do? Sika just asked me to come to the hotel, that's all. Shiro, his lawyer's words, echoed in his ears. It would be better if you just confessed. Show some remorse. You might get a suspended sentence. Daichi felt a choking despair. I just wanted to be with my mom, so I took the blame for something I didn't do. The verdict pierced his heart like a knife. 15 years imprisonment for the defendant. Daichi laughed. The other inmate stared. What was so funny? Ruji watched as Daichi slowly rose, his emotions a whirlwind. Something was changing within him. Nothing mattered anymore. Daichi stood, trembling. It was all meaningless now. Only one feeling remained, consuming him entirely. The other prisoners were unnerved, confused. What's wrong with him? Daichi grabbed Ruji by the collar. He didn't react. Daichi trembled. He was drowning in this darkness, this overwhelming despair. They gasped. Daichi took a breath, a smile spreading across his face, but tears streamed from his eyes. Smiling? This was... Ruji's eyes widened in shock. Daichi punched him, pure rage, a direct hit, straight to Ruji's face. Daichi was consumed by fury. He roared, "How dare you! Attacking anyway!" A direct punch to the face landed. Ruji didn't have time to react. In the hazy darkness, Daichi saw the figure of a woman. It was his mother, a little older, a little frailer, but still smiling gently, calling his name. "Daichi," he answered. "Mom." Her image faded, that gentle smile remaining. She gave him her last words. "Live a good life, my son." Daichi cried out, "Mom, wait for me!" He screamed as he watched her fade away, further and further out of his reach. "We were going to go to the beach together. I'll be back soon," he sobbed. "Please, just wait for me." Daichi reached out, a desperate cry escaping his lips. "Mom, don't leave me alone." He bolted awake, yelling, "Mom!" Daichi froze, his thoughts slowly returning. Mom was really... A doctor pulled back the curtain, looking at Daichi with a kind expression. "You're awake?" Daichi looked around. The infirmary, he thought. Glancing to his side, he saw Kamashiro reading a book. That guy from before, Kamashiro, Daichi thought. Kamashiro looked up, chuckled, and said, "That was a good punch you landed on Banba, kid." "Was it?" Daichi mumbled. His tone changed abruptly. "How is he?" he asked urgently. Memories flooded back to Daichi. "The punches, the kicks," Kamashiro replied. "He's in disciplinary. He started it anyway." Meanwhile, in a disciplinary room, Ruji sat silently. He wore a prison uniform. His head hung low. The doctor in the infirmary spoke up. "Lucky for you, today happens to be a scheduled health checkup. You're pretty banged up." "Well, Kamashiro, coincidentally, I'm injured too. Looks like we're in the same boat now." He chuckled, gesturing with a small book in his hand towards Daichi. He continued, "Not just about this, but about being falsely accused as well." Daichi was surprised by his words. He remembered their encounter at the factory. Kamashiro's words echoed, "The kid fell for the trap, didn't he?" "That night, you suddenly felt sleepy. Woke up naked, next to a dead girl. Right, Daichi?" He recalled Kamashiro acting like a fortune teller. "I'm also in jail because I was framed." Even his smug grin flashed in his mind. "Depending on how things play out, I might just be able to help you get out of here." Daichi stammered. You really think I'm innocent?" Kamashiro smiled. He studied Daichi, then remarked, "You don't seem like the type to kill someone." Kamashiro continued, "Son, you were played by your own lawyer." Daichi was left to ponder this. He pushed himself up in bed and muttered, Why would he do that?" Daichi's words were cut short by a third voice. "I need to speak with you, Mr. Kamashiro." Kamashiro got out of bed as he replied to Daichi, "We'll discuss the details when you're fully recovered." He placed a hand on Daichi's shoulder, gave him a knowing smile, and added, "Everything comes with a price, or even sacrifice something of equal value." Daichi looked at him silently and then spoke, his hands clenched into fists, gripping the blanket tightly. "What could I possibly gain? Tell me." A strange pressure emanated from Daichi as he continued. "If I throw everything away, what could I possibly get in return?" Kamashiro's eyes widened. He stood up straight, leaving Daichi with a few words before leaving. "Get some rest for now." Daichi silently watched Kamashiro go. The door to the examination room quickly closed. The other man, still looking inside, made a rare comment. "Really? I didn't expect Kamashiro to be interested in another inmate." Kamashiro pulled up his sleeve. He replied, surprising the other man with his look. Kamashiro's hand trembled uncontrollably. "Even now," he continued, "I can't help but wonder." He recalled Daichi's eyes, the look in them just moments ago. Amused, he cracked a smile. "He's quite promising," he remarked, a hint of intrigue in his voice. A few days later, in the prison yard, inmates were exercising. A baseball smacked against the wall. Kamashiro was pitching alone. Daichi approached him. Kamashiro stopped mid-pitch. He glanced at Daichi, a sly grin spreading across his face. "You look different," he commented. Daichi's expression hardened. Kamashiro resumed pitching, casually asking, "Something you need?" Daichi got straight to the point. "You said you could help me get out of here." "What did you mean by that?" Kamashiro bounced the ball in his hand. "I meant exactly what I said," he replied. How? Daichi pressed. Are you going to recommend me a good lawyer? He glanced to the left at a baseball. Or are you going to help me break out of here? Kamashiro watched it roll back to him and replied, I can't tell you anything specific until I know you're serious. Daichi immediately asked, How can I prove to you that I'm serious? Kamashiro paused, then slowly stood up. He took off his glasses and looked Daichi in the eye. Young man, what do you want to do once you're out of here? Daichi felt the pressure. He thought, this guy's demeanor has completely changed. He declared, Because of this case, I had to drop out of school. Not only have I lost contact with my lawyer, but my girlfriend and friends have vanished. If my mother really is gone, then I have nothing left. Daichi was lost in thought. How did things get so bad? It all started with that case. Someone killed my acquaintance, Daichi declared, and pinned the blame on me. Daichi's hands clenched into fists, his anger palpable. He set me up, got me arrested, and because of that, my mother. Kamashiro, Daichi interrupted. If I were free, I would find the real killer. Determination and hatred burned in his eyes. He affirmed, and I would get my revenge. Kamashiro countered. Would you sacrifice everything for revenge? Daichi looked down at his hands. Everything? I have nothing left to lose. Nothing? Kamashiro tossed a ball into the air. Both men followed its arc. I lost everything once, too, he admitted. The ball landed as he continued. But I have some hidden encrypted assets. Kamashiro grabbed it and placed it in Daichi's hand. While presenting it, he said, If you're truly determined, I'll help you get out of here. Kamashiro smiled and continued, I have something stashed away in the outside world. 0.500 billion yen worth of cryptocurrency. He looked Daichi straight in the eye and calmly declared, I'll give it all to you. Daichi was stunned into silence. Daichi could hardly believe it, standing face to face with him. What? This is unbelievable, he exclaimed. Kamashiro smiled and patted him on the shoulder. It's all right if you don't believe me. That's a normal reaction. He turned to leave, but added one last thing. Let me know if you change your mind. Wait, Daichi called out, stopping him. Kamashiro stopped, his back still to Daichi. Oh, right, there's a library in this prison, Daichi. Daichi looked up and listened intently, as Kamashiro directed him to the bookshelf nearest the window. The second shelf from the top. On the far right corner, there's a very interesting book. It has a dark black cover. He gestured towards it and then walked away. Give it a read. Daichi stood silently watching Kamashiro. As he disappeared, a few other inmates approached Daichi. You close with that Kamashiro guy? The one who just left? Not really, Daichi replied. We're not close. He's a con man, you know. Best to stay away from him. A con man? Daichi asked. The inmate's voice dropped to a fearful whisper. I heard he was arrested for massive fraud and murder. They say he even has ties to the Yakuza. Daichi was stunned by this information. He wondered, who could this person be? A few days later, in the library, Daichi entered the quiet room. It was completely deserted. He looked around. Just a librarian here, huh? Daichi searched, following Kamashiro's instructions. The bookshelf closest to the window. In the second shelf from the top, far right corner, he quickly found it. There it is! Daichi pulled it out. A book with a dark black cover. He examined his surroundings. He compared it to other books. Is this a book cover? None of the other books have covers. He took it to a reading table. Daichi carefully watched the librarian sitting nearby. He opened the black cover and gasped. The book was titled, How to Become a Millionaire, and it had a picture of Kamashiro on the cover. Confused, Daichi thought to himself, Is that him, the man from the book? From that day forward, I spent what little free time I had reading that book. A week passed by. Night fell in the prison dormitory. Daichi was drifting off to sleep when he suddenly sat bolt upright. Kamashiro was sitting in front of him. His eyes, piercing and bright, stared straight at Daichi in the darkness. He let out a laugh. Startled, Daichi wondered, How did he get in here? Kamashiro gestured as if to say, Quiet, you'll wake them. Daichi quickly looked around to check. Kamashiro smiled and held out a small red vial. He explained how he had snuck in. Let's just say I helped the guard take a little nap. Daichi panicked. Who are you? Kamashiro didn't answer. Instead, he asked, You've read it, haven't you? That book. Daichi paused for a moment, then began to list off facts. Kamashiro Kosuke shortly became the youngest person to take a company public at age 26, CEO of a groundbreaking startup. Then involved in a massive fraud case and a murder. He lost everything. Kamashiro lightly shook a vial in his hand. That's more or less correct. Yes, that's about right. He stood up and said, You said you wanted revenge once you got out, but let me confirm one more time. He looked at Daichi and asked again, For revenge, are you willing to sacrifice everything you have? Daichi stared at him. He thought to himself, I can't understand this guy. He was still hesitant, but the man had already snuck into his cell and was casually chatting with him. Daichi clenched his fist. This proved the man actually had the power to get him out. Anything, Daichi replied. Whatever it takes. I have nothing left to lose, he muttered, then a sinister smile spread across his face. As long as I can get revenge on those who wronged me, I'll do anything. Daichi's eyes were filled with lethal determination. Good, Kamashiro said, satisfied. He held up a finger, ready to give Daichi his instructions. I have your first assignment. Daichi listened intently as Kamashiro continued. There's someone in this prison I want you to get close to. In another cell, several inmates cowered in a corner. One, who had just been assaulted, moaned. It hurts so much. A large inmate sat listlessly by the window. He was surrounded by other men with the same flower tattoo. He sighed dramatically. Man, this is rough, he muttered. I wonder where the princess of my dreams is right now. With a bashful expression, Daichi listened intently and quietly. The next morning, a group of bruised prisoners surrounded their leader. They were holding back the culprit. He raged, his voice almost a growl. Oga! How dare you underestimate me? Oga chuckled. Well. He grabbed the other man's incoming fist and slammed him to the ground with a powerful throw. Listen up, Oga said to the unconscious man on the ground. I told you to stop hitting on me. This is Oga Kazuki. He waved dismissively at the group. You're not my type. None of you are my type. Oga stood up, stretching. That was a good warm-up. He walked forward, spotting Kamashiro and Daichi. Still as strong as ever, I see, he said. He clapped his hands together. Oga's face lit up when he saw him. Director Kamashiro, he exclaimed, scratching his head with a grin. You saw that? Oh, this is so embarrassing, Kamashiro said, glancing at Daichi. He followed with a question. And who is this young man? This is Enomoto Daichi, Kamashiro introduced. Daichi bowed respectfully. It's a pleasure to meet you. Daichi's sharp gaze gave Oga pause. Then, blushing, he replied, I'm Oga, extending his hand to Daichi. The pleasure's all mine. Oga grasped Daichi's hand, pumping it enthusiastically. Wow, it's not every day you see a kid like you around here. Kamashiro interrupted. I came here to ask you something, Oga. Oh, of course. If it's you, Director, I'll answer anything. He added, anything at all? Kamashiro grew serious. It's about that. Oga's expression immediately changed. Kamashiro asked him for a favor. Could you tell me, sir? Daichi reached out, a desperate cry escaping his lips. Mom, don't leave me alone. He bolted awake, yelling, Mom! Daichi froze, his thoughts slowly returning. Mom was really... A doctor pulled back the curtain, looking at Daichi with a kind expression. You're awake? Daichi looked around. The infirmary, he thought. Glancing to his side, he saw Kamashiro reading a book. That guy from before, Kamashiro, Daichi thought. Kamashiro looked up, chuckled, and said, That was a good punch you landed on Banba, kid. Was it? Daichi mumbled. His tone changed abruptly. How is he? He asked urgently. Memories flooded back to Daichi. The punches, the kicks. Kamashiro replied. He's in disciplinary. He started it anyway. Meanwhile, in a disciplinary room, Ruji sat silently. He wore a prison uniform. His head hung low. The doctor in the infirmary spoke up. Lucky for you, today happens to be a scheduled health checkup. You're pretty banged up. Well, Kamashiro, coincidentally, I'm injured too. Looks like we're in the same boat now. He chuckled, gesturing with a small book in his hand towards Daichi. He continued. Not just about this, but about being falsely accused as well. Daichi was surprised by his words. He remembered their encounter at the factory. Kamashiro's words echoed. The kid fell for the trap, didn't he? That night, you suddenly felt sleepy. Woke up naked, next to a dead girl. Right, Daichi? He recalled Kamashiro acting like a fortune teller. I'm also in jail because I was framed. Even his smug grin flashed in his mind. Depending on how things play out, I might just be able to help you get out of here. Daichi stammered. You really think I'm innocent? Kamashiro smiled. He studied Daichi, then remarked, You don't seem like the type to kill someone. Kamashiro continued. Son, you were played by your own lawyer. Daichi was left to ponder this. He pushed himself up in bed and muttered, Why would he do that? Daichi's words were cut short by a third voice. I need to speak with you, Mr. Kamashiro. Kamashiro got out of bed as he replied to Daichi. We'll discuss the details when you're fully recovered. He placed a hand on Daichi's shoulder, gave him a knowing smile, and added, Everything comes with a price, or even sacrifice something of equal value. Daichi looked at him silently and then spoke, his hands clenched into fists, gripping the blanket tightly. What could I possibly gain? Tell me. A strange pressure emanated from Daichi as he continued. If I throw everything away, what could I possibly get in return? Kamashiro's eyes widened. He stood up straight, leaving Daichi with a few words before leaving. Get some rest for now. Daichi silently watched Kamashiro go. The door to the examination room quickly closed. The other man, still looking inside, made a rare comment. Really? I didn't expect Kamashiro to be interested in another inmate. Kamashiro pulled up his sleeve. He replied, surprising the other man with his look. Kamashiro's hand trembled uncontrollably. Even now, he continued, I can't help but wonder. He recalled Daichi's eyes, the look in them just moments ago. Amused, he cracked a smile. He's quite promising, he remarked, a hint of intrigue in his voice. A few days later, in the prison yard, inmates were exercising. A baseball smacked against the wall. Kamashiro was pitching alone. Daichi approached him. Kamashiro stopped mid-pitch. He glanced at Daichi, a sly grin spreading across his face. You look different, he commented. Daichi's expression hardened. Kamashiro resumed pitching, casually asking, Something you need? Daichi got straight to the point. You said you could help me get out of here. What did you mean by that? Kamashiro bounced the ball in his hand. I meant exactly what I said, he replied. How? Daichi pressed. Are you going to recommend me a good lawyer? He glanced to the left at a baseball. Or are you going to help me break out of here? Kamashiro watched it roll back to him and replied, I can't tell you anything specific until I know you're serious. Daichi immediately asked, How can I prove to you that I'm serious? Kamashiro paused, then slowly stood up. He took off his glasses and looked Daichi in the eye. Young man, what do you want to do once you're out of here? Daichi felt the pressure. He thought, this guy's demeanor has completely changed. He declared, Because of this case, I had to drop out of school. Not only have I lost contact with my lawyer, but my girlfriend and friends have vanished. If my mother really is gone, then I have nothing left. Daichi was lost in thought. How did things get so bad? It all started with that case. Someone killed my acquaintance, Daichi declared, and pinned the blame on me. Daichi's hands clenched into fists, his anger palpable. He set me up, got me arrested, and because of that, my mother. Kamashiro, Daichi interrupted. If I were free, I would find the real killer. Determination and hatred burned in his eyes. He affirmed, and I would get my revenge. Kamashiro countered. Would you sacrifice everything for revenge? Daichi looked down at his hands. Everything? I have nothing left to lose. Nothing? Kamashiro tossed a ball into the air. Both men followed its arc. I lost everything once, too, he admitted. The ball landed as he continued. But I have some hidden encrypted assets. Kamashiro grabbed it and placed it in Daichi's hand. While presenting it, he said, If you're truly determined, I'll help you get out of here. Kamashiro smiled and continued, I have something stashed away in the outside world. 0.500 billion yen worth of cryptocurrency. He looked Daichi straight in the eye and calmly declared, I'll give it all to you. Daichi was stunned into silence. Daichi could hardly believe it, standing face to face with him. What? This is unbelievable, he exclaimed. Kamashiro smiled and patted him on the shoulder. It's all right if you don't believe me. That's a normal reaction. He turned to leave, but added one last thing. Let me know if you change your mind. Wait, Daichi called out, stopping him. Kamashiro stopped, his back still to Daichi. Oh, right, there's a library in this prison, Daichi. Daichi looked up and listened intently, as Kamashiro directed him to the bookshelf nearest the window. The second shelf from the top. On the far right corner, there's a very interesting book. It has a dark black cover. He gestured towards it and then walked away. Give it a read. Daichi stood silently watching Kamashiro. As he disappeared, a few other inmates approached Daichi. You close with that Kamashiro guy? The one who just left? Not really, Daichi replied. We're not close. He's a con man, you know. Best to stay away from him. A con man? Daichi asked. The inmate's voice dropped to a fearful whisper. I heard he was arrested for massive fraud and murder. They say he even has ties to the Yakuza. Daichi was stunned by this information. He wondered, who could this person be? A few days later, in the library, Daichi entered the quiet room. It was completely deserted. He looked around. Just a librarian here, huh? Daichi searched, following Kamashiro's instructions. The bookshelf closest to the window. In the second shelf from the top, far right corner, he quickly found it. There it is! Daichi pulled it out. A book with a dark black cover. He examined his surroundings. He compared it to other books. Is this a book cover? None of the other books have covers. He took it to a reading table. Daichi carefully watched the librarian sitting nearby. He opened the black cover and gasped. The book was titled, How to Become a Millionaire, and it had a picture of Kamashiro on the cover. Confused, Daichi thought to himself, is that him, the man from the book? From that day forward, I spent what little free time I had reading that book. A week passed by. Night fell in the prison dormitory. Daichi was drifting off to sleep when he suddenly sat bolt upright. Kamashiro was sitting in front of him. His eyes, piercing and bright, stared straight at Daichi in the darkness. He let out a laugh. Startled, Daichi wondered, how did he get in here? Kamashiro gestured as if to say, quiet, you'll wake them. Daichi quickly looked around to check. Kamashiro smiled and held out a small red vial. He explained how he had snuck in. Let's just say I helped the guard take a little nap. Daichi panicked. Who are you? Kamashiro didn't answer. Instead, he asked, you've read it, haven't you? That book. Daichi paused for a moment, then began to list off facts. Kamashiro Kosuke suddenly became the youngest person to take a company public at age 26, CEO of a groundbreaking startup. Then involved in a massive fraud case and a murder. He lost everything. Kamashiro lightly shook a vial in his hand. That's more or less correct. Yes, that's about right. He stood up and said, you said you wanted revenge once you got out, but let me confirm one more time. He looked at Daichi and asked again, for revenge, are you willing to sacrifice everything you have? Daichi stared at him. He thought to himself, I can't understand this guy. He was still hesitant, but the man had already snuck into his cell and was casually chatting with him. Daichi clenched his fist. This proved the man actually had the power to get him out. Anything, Daichi replied. Whatever it takes. I have nothing left to lose, he muttered, then a sinister smile spread across his face. As long as I can get revenge on those who wronged me, I'll do anything. Daichi's eyes were filled with lethal determination. Good, Kamashiro said, satisfied. He held up a finger, ready to give Daichi his instructions. I have your first assignment. Daichi listened intently as Kamashiro continued. There's someone in this prison I want you to get close to. In another cell, several inmates cowered in a corner. One, who had just been assaulted, moaned. It hurts so much. A large inmate sat listlessly by the window. He was surrounded by other men with the same flower tattoo. He sighed dramatically. Man, this is rough, he muttered. I wonder where the princess of my dreams is right now. With a bashful expression, Daichi listened intently and quietly. The next morning, a group of bruised prisoners surrounded their leader. They were holding back the culprit. He raged, his voice almost a growl. Oga! How dare you underestimate me? Oga chuckled. Well. He grabbed the other man's incoming fist and slammed him to the ground with a powerful throw. Listen up, Oga said to the unconscious man on the ground. I told you to stop hitting on me. This is Oga Kazuki. He waved dismissively at the group. You're not my type. None of you are my type. Oga stood up, stretching. That was a good warm-up. He walked forward, spotting Kamashiro and Daichi. Still as strong as ever, I see, he said. He clapped his hands together. Oga's face lit up when he saw him. Director Kamashiro, he exclaimed, scratching his head with a grin. You saw that? Oh, this is so embarrassing, Kamashiro said, glancing at Daichi. He followed with a question. And who is this young man? This is Enomoto Daichi, Kamashiro introduced. Daichi bowed respectfully. It's a pleasure to meet you. Daichi's sharp gaze gave Oga pause. Then, blushing, he replied, I'm Oga, extending his hand to Daichi. The pleasure's all mine. Oga grasped Daichi's hand, pumping it enthusiastically. Wow, it's not every day you see a kid like you around here. Kamashiro interrupted. I came here to ask you something, Oga. Oh, of course. If it's you, Director, I'll answer anything. He added, anything at all? Kamashiro grew serious. It's about that. Oga's expression immediately changed. Kamashiro asked him for a favor. Could you tell me, sir? 2 weeks later, Daichi was returned to a regular cell. The guard left him with a few parting insults. Don't break the rules again, you got it. Daichi responded coldly. I thought I'd be out of solitary. A little sooner. Kamashiro smiled, looked up from his book and glanced at him. I'm not the king of this prison, you know, he continued as Daichi approached him. That warden, and more than half the guards are stubborn as mules. They're not easily swayed. It took a lot of effort to get myself in the same cell as you, Daichi. Daichi continued. I've been doing a lot of thinking in solitary. About my case and yours. Kamashiro looked at him sternly. Are you finally ready to talk? Daichi pressed. What do you know about this case? And how are you going to get me out of here? He bargained. Or you won't get any information about heaven. Seeing this, Kamashiro chuckled softly. I'm sure you have a good idea who framed you. Don't you? Daichi didn't answer. He looked down. I can't be certain. But, Gu's face. Dagura's face flashed in his mind. Kamashiro continued. I'm afraid it's exactly who you suspect. Your enemies are powerful. Simply getting out of prison won't be enough. Daichi listened silently. Kamashiro removed his glasses and continued. That's why I will. He smirked as he made his declaration. Well, I'll give you the weapons to fight them. Daichi stared at him in disbelief. He spoke. Weapons? You mean that encrypted asset thing? Kamashiro replied, his expression turning serious. First, I want to hear about that night again, in detail. Daichi hesitated, a look of reluctance on his face. But he agreed. All right. He began to recount the events. When he finished, Kamashiro let out a sound of understanding. I see, he summarized. That night after your shift at the bar, you received a message from the victim summoning you to the hotel. Then your coworker drugged you, causing you to lose consciousness. Is that correct? Daichi scratched his ear. Yeah. The drugging thing is just a guess. He remembered the can and Gu's words, that energy drink. Drink it. Oh, I want half of that too. So drink it here. Daichi, let you continue explaining. Besides that, I don't remember any other clues. Kamashiro spoke up. Then you woke up and found the victim dead. The police immediately arrived and surrounded the place. His observation is quite accurate, isn't it? Daichi continued. I happen to know Yugasaki before. That lawyer helped me. Shiro's words echoed in his ears. If you confess, you'll only get a suspended sentence. Kamashiro continued. That man manipulated you into confessing. Your best friend and lawyer, Yugasaki, there must be a middleman connecting them. You know who that person is, don't you? Daichi, more than anything, tried to remember that director's name. He thought to himself, Director Dagura, he was the one who introduced me to that lawyer. Director Dagura, he killed Seiko. Daichi nearly shouted. He bribed lawyer Yugasaki and Gu, and they worked together to frame me. I don't know all the details yet, Kamashiro continued. But there's no doubt those three are responsible for what happened to you. There's no mistaking it. Because of those three? Daichi's eyes burned with rage. I spent 15 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit. Anger and resentment consumed Daichi. A sinister look crossed his face as he thought, I can't forgive them. He clawed at his skin until it bled. Kamashiro stopped him. Daichi, calm down! You still have hope. Revenge is your only hope now, Daichi. Daichi looked at Kamashiro's hand, grasping his own. Just give me the 500 billion yen now. Rage flashed across Daichi's face. I'll make them wish they were dead. Kamashiro sighed. I told you to calm down! He slowly stood up. Getting you out of here requires careful planning. We need to wait for the right opportunity. It might even take a year or two. He continued, but Kamashiro warned as he walked. And besides, giving you that kind of money now would be useless if you don't know how to use it. The key is, he tapped his head, knowledge. Daichi seemed to snap back to reality. Knowledge, he mumbled as Kamashiro offered him a book. As he explained, there's a passage in this book that says, he held it out. Daichi took it as Kamashiro read, wait and hope. While we wait for the right opportunity to get you out. I'm going to teach you everything I know. Daichi hardened his resolve. From that day forward, Mr. Kamashiro started holding classes in prison. They sat facing each other in a room. Various books lay on the table. Kamashiro began. First, we'll cover the fundamentals of economics. Daichi looked at the stack of books, surprised by Kamashiro's declaration. I need you to memorize all of these. Mr. Kamashiro, you already picked out the books I need? Of course, he said with a smile, opening a book. Here, let me show you how to read. First, skim through chapter 6. I don't expect you to understand everything right away. It's all about reading speed. I've been tirelessly reading all those books day and night. Sometime later, Daichi was doing push-ups, muttering facts from the books. 97. Mitsuba Motors has a PE ratio of 13. 98. ##. Hakuten Marketplace conducted a capital raise last quarter. 99. Kyotex's projected revenue will be in deficit next quarter. Beads of sweat dripped onto the floor. Daichi flipped a page. 100 Zion Agent's equity ratio is 32%. Daichi collapsed onto the floor, exhausted, gasping for air. Kamashiro, looking puzzled, asked, "What have you been doing?" Daichi replied, "Memorizing company information like you told me to." Wiping his sweat, he continued, "There are about 4,000 listed companies. Just memorizing them is taking up all my time. I haven't gotten anything else done all day." Kamashiro chuckled. "Even so, who does push-ups while reading? Seriously." Daichi continued, "I've realized something. When I fought that guy, Banba, and even with that gangster," Daichi clenched his fists. "Without strength, you can't fight back." Sweat dripped down his face. "Knowledge alone isn't enough." Daichi's eyes sharpened. "To use knowledge, you also need strength." "Well said," Kamashiro replied. "I'm impressed." He smiled. "You understand what it takes to survive? In this world." He stood up, changing the subject. "All right then. You've grasped the basics of economics." "Wait," Daichi interrupted. Kamashiro pointed to the next man and added, "I'll teach you the art of winning people over." He chuckled. Kamashiro glanced at a stack of books. "You already have a solid grasp of basic economics." He sat down opposite Daichi and continued, "I'll teach you how to win friends and influence people." Kamashiro smiled. Daichi listened intently. The next day, in the prison yard, a figure was huddled beneath a blanket. This was Tako, a seemingly lazy inmate. Daichi approached him and said, "Hello." Tako jumped, startled. "Mind if I sit here?" Daichi asked. Flustered, Tako pulled the blanket over his head and stammered, You're... Daichi sat down beside him without waiting for a response. Tako quickly scooted away. Daichi smiled. He extended his hand. "I'm Enomoto Daichi," he introduced himself. "You're Tako, right?" How do you know my name?" Tako stammered, bewildered. Daichi replied, keeping that same smile. "I heard the guard call you that." Tako stammered, "My name... It's weird, isn't it?" He was anxious, unable to speak properly. "I get made fun of a lot because of it." "And I'm not very good at talking to people." Daichi listened, smiling. "It's not weird at all. Actually, I think it's quite nice." Tako was surprised by Daichi's words. Daichi continued, "Can I get to know you?" Tako stammered. He pulled his hood down, tears welling up at Daichi's kindness. "Me? Someone convicted of stock market manipulation? Someone in prison like me?" He continued. I'm not good at talking to people, and no one ever talks to me." Daichi smiled. He had such a calming presence. When he replied to Tako, "I don't think we're that far apart in age. How about we become friends?" They sat and talked for a long time. Kamashiro watched Daichi as he spoke, a satisfied smile on his face. "Seems like things are going well, huh?" Daichi chewed his food and replied, "Listen 70%, talk 30%. Make eye contact when talking to someone. Ask engaging questions and find ways to compliment them." He smiled. "I did exactly as you taught me. I made friends quickly," Kamashiro continued. "In theory, it's not always that easy in practice. It went well because you have a good personality." Daichi humbly replied, "Tako is much better than me." "He seems to have a deep understanding of stocks," Kamashiro suggested. "Next time I'm researching stocks, maybe I'll see if he wants to join in." Daichi wondered, "Do you know him?" Kamashiro didn't hide it. "Yeah," he said. "He's quite well known in the field." He then warned, "You can't get revenge on your own. You need to find allies to help you." Daichi listened intently to his advice. "That's why," Kamashiro continued, "it's important to be charismatic. And," he added, "I see that potential in you." Daichi worried. "I don't know about that." He paused, then asked, "Why are you being so kind to me?" Kamashiro smiled and replied with a question. "What do you think?" Daichi responded, "You need allies to help your prison break succeed. So you're approaching someone in a similar situation." Pretended to be me and lured me. Tricked me into working with him. "Is that right?" Kamashiro complimented him. "Not bad deduction, kid." His gaze focused on Daichi as he continued. "I've decided to sell my soul to the devil." Daichi's face darkened. "So if you're looking for revenge on someone, I'll help you do whatever it takes." Kamashiro glanced at him. He clapped Daichi on the shoulder, lightening the mood. "Whoa there, kid. Let's talk after you graduate from my course." Daichi remained silent at Kamashiro's dismissive attitude. Later, I continued attending Mr. Kamashiro's classes. In the reading room, Kamashiro spent the day teaching Daichi and Tako. He pointed at a spot in the newspaper and declared, "This company's stock price looks like it's going to rise." Kamashiro continued, "Right now, that's my family's company. The internal power struggle is getting pretty intense." Daichi pointed elsewhere, adding to the conversation, "What about our rival company? How are their stocks doing?" Kamashiro chuckled. "You chose the right company, kid. They're heavily investing in both infrastructure and—" He paused. "Night activities." Kamashiro winked. "I'll teach you about those in bed. Remember, those in politics often share certain characteristics. Even during training, they find ways to learn." Daichi did push-ups with Kamashiro sitting on his back. Straining, he asked breathlessly, Do we have to learn English too?" "Of course," Kamashiro replied curtly. "But learning it in prison wouldn't be ideal." Kamashiro tossed him a book. "For now," he ordered, "just focus on building your vocabulary. And I'll continue to train my body relentlessly." Daichi continued his push-ups. "By breathing," he huffed. He inhaled deeply. Time passed. Summer turned to autumn, then to winter. He trained relentlessly. Sometime later, Daichi counted. 0.47. He had changed significantly. 48. 49. His eyes remained glued to the book. Daichi pushed himself. 0.50. He collapsed to the ground. Tako watched him intently. He finally spoke. "Whoa, Daichi, you've gotten so much bigger." Daichi smiled. "Have I?" Other guys jogged around the track, gossiping. Daichi rested, talking to Kamishima in a corner. Suddenly, he was taken aback by Kamishima's topic. "Women," Kamishima said calmly. "If you have women as allies in your fight, you'll have a considerable advantage. So you need to learn how to treat them properly." This brought back a memory for Daichi, one that made him slightly embarrassed. "Well, I guess you could say I had a girlfriend once." Kamishima continued, "You look all right, kid. Just a bit too timid. You gotta be more assertive." He slung an arm around Daichi, ready to impart wisdom on how to be a true gentleman. "Let's say you're out for drinks, just the two of you. You lean in close and whisper." He whispered. Daichi listened intently to the lecture, but after it was over, he felt a little skeptical. So he asked Kamishima, "Does that really work?" Kamishima leaned against the railing, arms crossed, and replied, "You can try it after you're reintegrated into society. I think you have the potential to be a real ladies' man. Because you're so devoted to your mother?" His words surprised Daichi. "What does that have to do with anything?" Kamishima gave a rather odd example. "Let's say you could travel back in time, and you had to date your mother when she was younger. How would you treat her?" "Think about it that way," Daichi mumbled. "If it were my mother," his mind began to conjure, the image of a woman as gentle as the morning sun, and a moment of her deep sorrow when they see their own child as a monster. "I heard the reporters are having a field day outside, saying things like the murderer's mother died of shock after learning her son killed someone." Those cruel words made Daichi's eyes darken. He hung his head, his heart tearing apart. Kamishima knew he was spiraling into dark thoughts. So he changed the subject. "Your mother must have been a wonderful woman." "I can tell just by looking at you," Kamishima explained. "A person's character isn't just innate. It's shaped by upbringing and environment." Daichi remembered his mother's warm smile and embrace when she called his name. The memory brought a bittersweet ache to his heart. And yet, he thought to himself, I took it all for granted. Kamishima looked up at the sky, where souls found their eternal rest. "I've always believed in the afterlife." He looked at the old man in astonishment. Daichi told him to leave. "Go visit your mother's grave. I'm sure she misses you very much." Daichi's eyes softened. Tears welled up and ran down his cheeks. Daichi sobbed, expressing his gratitude to the old man. "Thank you so much. Maybe my mother in heaven can finally rest easy knowing someone is there to care for and guide Daichi in her place." Daichi's life continued peacefully, from dusk till dawn, and then to a new morning. As usual, he was busy working out, when Kamisama came up to greet him. "Working hard, Daichi. You scared me." He quickly climbed down to talk. Kamisama pointed to someone. He went on gossiping with Daichi. "See that tall, skinny guy?" he asked, nodding his head. "Yeah, what about him?" Daichi replied. Both their gazes focused on the young man. He had dark hair and eyes like rubies. According to Kamishima, he continued, "His name is Haruki. He used to be a host, a real smooth talker. Find the right moment to approach him and keep an eye on him. He has the potential to be a valuable asset in getting you out of here." That last statement definitely caught Daichi's attention. Lost in thought, He was startled when a guard suddenly pointed at him. "Number 1034, the guard yelled. Daichi spun around in surprise. "A visitor?" "I wonder who it could be," he muttered. He didn't notice Kamishima's intense gaze from behind. He followed the guard down a long hallway. Finally, they stopped at the dining hall. The room was completely silent. The officer led Daichi to two men. One, a man with a stout build, greeted him warmly. "I'm Yamashita, from the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department's 2nd Investigation Division. And this is my subordinate, Suzuki." Daichi politely replied, "Hello." He got straight to the point. "Is there something you need from me?" Daichi asked nervously. "Could it be you want to reopen the case?" Yamashita waved his hand dismissively. "I'm sorry, Daichi, but my visit today isn't about your case. It's about something related to Kamashiro Kosuke." Daichi's eyes widened in surprise. Just as things were getting serious, Yamashita paused for a rather mundane reason. "Do you mind if I smoke?" "Go ahead," Daichi replied. "It seems like Pretty Boy's job, Suzuki, was just to light the old man's cigarette." Yamashita was the one questioning Enomoto. "You seemed pretty close to him." Daichi followed the man's hand holding the cigarette and answered honestly, "We shared a cell, so we talk sometimes." He continued, "From what I know, he wasn't just arrested for murder. He was also involved in a major financial crime. He still owes a huge amount in compensation." Suddenly, he narrowed his eyes and his tone changed. "But Daichi, listen closely to this secret about your cellmate. It seems he was hiding a huge sum of money somewhere. Coincidentally, Kamishima once told you that. I have hidden cryptocurrency assets worth 500 billion yen out there." Yamashita laid his cards on the table. "To put it bluntly, I need you to dig up information on where he's hiding his money." Daichi caught on, asking, "You want me to be an informant?" Yamashita continued, "Of course. I'm not asking you to help us for nothing." He took a drag of his cigarette and said pointedly, "I have a contact in the Ministry of Justice. If you cooperate, you'll be well compensated." Daichi hesitated. "Are you suggesting you're openly offering me a bribe?" "Early release. I can get you a pardon." Daichi wavered, lost in thought. "More than 15 years left to go early release? It's a way out, a light leading me to a new life. But what about Mr. Kamashiro? I still don't fully understand him." Daichi hesitated, remembering the times. He had been kind, like a father. Yamashita lightly touched Daichi's shoulder, breaking his train of thought. "Enomoto, you don't deserve to be in this hellhole. Does he want to corrupt your good heart, Daichi? You gotta learn to play the game, right?" Under Yamashita's pressure, Daichi asked a seemingly random question. "Officer, do you believe in the afterlife?" Yamashita didn't understand Daichi's sensitive heart. He just laughed. "You talking about religion now?" Daichi used this story to indirectly talk about his choice. "Someone told me the other side is real. It exists. And they said your mom misses you a lot too." For a logical man like him to say that, Daichi stood up, despite the chief's irritation. He gave his final answer with a look of kindness and sincerity. "He said those things to comfort me. I absolutely will not betray someone who treats me like this." Yamashita was furious, his face contorted like an angry baboon. "You'll regret this decision." Daichi remained calm and resolute. He confidently replied to the Tokyo officer. "Excuse me." He ignored Yamashita's frustrated huffing. As the guard led him away, he thought to himself, "I won't be foolish. Enough to trust the authorities again." He made up his mind. "I will never betray Mr. Kamashiro." Outside the prison, in the bustling city night, someone was enjoying a glass of fine wine. Domenzella Romani Conti, 1995. The man savoring the wine was Daruga Misuru, a successful businessman. He took a sip, a satisfied sigh escaping his lips. "Truly the pinnacle of Burgundy," he murmured. His colleague, Kagura, leaned in. "Remember Enomoto Daichi." At the mention of the name, Daruga's composure faltered, his voice rising. "How could I forget? Thanks to that fool, everything went smoothly." Kagura, also known as Lawyer Yugasaki Shiro, continued his story. "I hear he's gotten close to Kamashiro Kosuke in prison." Daruga paled, a look of fear crossing his face. "Kamashiro Kosuke? Him?" Shiro offered a suggestion. "Perhaps we should eliminate Enomoto Daichi." He picked up his phone and dialed Yugasaki. "There's something I need you to do." Chatter filled the prison air. Haruki spoke, brimming with energy. "You worked at a bar in Nishiazabu?" "Used to," Daichi replied. "I got fired." Haruki slammed his hands on Daichi's shoulders. His eyes gleamed mischievously. "Don't you think we're kind of alike, Daichi?" Daichi, slightly uncomfortable, responded. "Yeah, I guess so." He stood up and turned to leave. "I should get going." Haruki offered a friendly farewell. Let's chat again sometime. So, Daichi walked towards Kosuke in the vast prison. Kosuke asked, "What'd you think?" Daichi answered without hesitation. "He seems like a good guy, but hard to read." Smiling mouth but no joy in his eyes, Kosuke replied, arms crossed. "Never ignore your gut feeling. Next time, observe that guy very carefully." Daichi didn't quite understand, but he agreed. "Yes, ma'am," Kosuke continued, on a slightly different note. "Do you remember the guy named Banba?" "Of course," Daichi answered. "He was locked up in solitary, ever since that fight with you. I remember when the police came and took him out of room 20. He looked terrifying, but now he's back to his normal life. Just like us. Banba has a very sweet younger sister, a few years ago. She was brutally beaten and severely injured by some cruel guy. I hear she's still in the hospital, barely clinging to life." Daichi felt a pang of sadness. So that's why he reacted that way. And when he heard my story, he remembered what Banma had said. "Look at this scum, committing murder for your own selfish reasons. You make me sick." Officer Suk turned and walked away, leaving Daichi standing there alone. "Be careful." In his cell, Banba was reading a book. A guard entered. Time to switch cells. Banba got up and left. In the new cell, Kazukui appeared. "Welcome," he said. Banba didn't look happy. "Kazukui still pulling strings, I see." Kazukui replied calmly. "Just a little influence in prison, that's all. It's not like I can do whatever I want." Banba's expression changed. "Why put me in here with you? What are you planning?" Unlike Banba, Kazukui responded calmly, "There's something I need to tell you." Kosuke sat down in front of Banba. There was another guy there, freshly released from prison. Before that, he had been transferred. Meanwhile, Haruki was cheerfully chatting with Daichi. "I'm getting out on parole soon," he said. "You still have 15 years left, huh, Daichi?" "Hang in there!" He clapped Daichi on the shoulder repeatedly. Daichi looked at Haruki, thinking to himself, "Haruki might be the key to getting me out of here. Mr. Kamashiro told me so. But how can he possibly help?" Haruki's voice interrupted Daichi's thoughts. "I can't wait to play with all the girls again," he said. Daichi was stunned by his words. "What?" he asked. Haruki grinned and replied, "Drug them and then I can do whatever I want with them. Anything at all. That feeling is just amazing. Afterward, I just dump them at a brothel. And make some money on the side, too. 2 birds, 1 stone." Haruki's words left Daichi speechless. "What the hell are you talking about?" A sinister look crept into Haruki's eyes. "I know all about it. Daichi, you raped and killed a girl too, didn't you?" "Didn't you?" Haruki let out a devilish grin and pointed at Daichi. "Aren't we the same, you and I? Leaving evidence behind is such an amateur mistake. I'm much too clever to make a slip-up like that. You were so busy talking you didn't even notice." The large figure looming up behind you. Daichi's face paled as he saw him. A powerful arm suddenly wrapped around Haruki's throat, choking him. Banba's voice was cold. "Does it hurt? Compared to what you did to others, this is nothing, isn't it?" Daichi panicked and reached out. "Stop! Stop it!" Haruki's eyes bulged, red veins popping as he let out a blood-curdling scream. Night fell. The doctor emerged, letting out a heavy sigh. Kosuke crossed his arms. "How is he, doctor?" The doctor glanced back at the room. Takahashi Haruki sustained the most severe injuries. "His vital signs are dropping. His condition is critical." Kosuke hung his head, his face grim. "Banba attacked that host. Enomoto tried to stop him, but got caught in the crossfire." The doctor removed his mask and continued. "We were short on equipment and supplies, which made performing the surgery incredibly difficult. But thankfully, the surgery was a success." Kosuke's face lit up. "Thank goodness, that's amazing." He clapped the doctor on the back. "I've never seen anything like it," the doctor said, shaking his head. "You're a miracle worker, Doc," Kosuke exclaimed. Unbeknownst to them, their conversation was being overheard. He waited until the coast was clear, then slipped into Haruki and Daichi's room. He looked at Haruki, then up at the nameplate. He pulled out a syringe and injected something into the IV bag. A sinister smile spread across his face.